Hi, my name is Nikki Lurzak. I'm the Instructional Services Librarian at Genesee Community College, and this is part 2 of the Psychology 101 Library Search Project tutorial. Picking up from where we left off, we're going to go on to question 3, which is all about periodical databases. But before we can answer that question, we need to know what a periodical is. You can see I have some examples. Periodicals are things such as newspapers, magazines, and journals. Some of these you might be familiar with, some of them you might not. A periodical is generally printed on a schedule. It comes out periodically, hence the name periodicals. And that schedule can be either daily or weekly, the way that many newspapers are. It can come out weekly or monthly, the way many magazines are. Or it can come out monthly or perhaps quarterly, 4 times a year, the way many journals do. Periodicals contain articles, usually of varying lengths, serving different purposes. Newspapers are generally short, roughly 1 to 2 pages long, generally full of basic facts about an event. Magazines are a bit longer. They can go anywhere from usually 2 to 5 pages. They tend to look a little more in depth at various topics. And journal articles are the longest, going anywhere from about 5 pages to sometimes more than 30 pages. They usually look very in depth at a particular or specific topic, and they include research, which can be very intense. Therefore, periodical databases are filled with periodicals, newspapers, magazines, and journals, which contain articles. So when you're looking for articles, you go to periodical databases. If you are looking for a general topic, you might choose a general database. Some of our databases are good for a wide variety of topics, and they have a little bit about everything, while others are specific and focused on a particular field or discipline, such as business, philosophy, education, and of course, psychology. We are going to take a look at some psychology databases. We can get to them from that Psych 101 Library Search Project page. And down towards the bottom, I have some links that you might use, and there's psychology databases. And here are a list of databases that we say are good for psychology. If you start at the top of the list, you will find focused databases for the topic, but as you move down the list, the databases will include databases that cover this topic but don't focus on this topic. For question 4, you need to find an article in one of the databases from question 3, and then you must locate specific parts or information from that article. I'm going to choose the database known as Medline, or Medline with full text. And I'm going to search, not your term, but a different term, something called trichotillomania, which is a great word. And here's how I would do that. Simply put the word in the box and hit search, and here I have a little over 1,100 articles that mention my term trichotillomania. And number 1 looks fine, long-term outcome in pediatric trichotillomania. I'm going to click on it. And now I have a lot of information about this article, starting with the top where the title is, and then right underneath it I can see the authors of this article and where they all work. The next section tells me the source, which is also information about where this article was originally published, the journal that it came from, and the journal in this case was called Depression and Anxiety. After that, you can see publication date, when it was published, the volume, followed by, in parentheses, the issue of this particular article, and the pages that it was on. There's a lot of extra information included on this page that you don't need to know. Some of it very useful, some of it not so much. The mesh terms tell me the subjects that are associated with this article so that I know what it's going to talk about specifically. Below that, the abstract gives me a summary of the whole article so I know what it's going to talk about. And if I keep scrolling down, I will eventually find something in this case known as the DOI. Not every article has one. They tend to have a certain formula. They all tend to start with the number 10 and then a period. So if you're keeping an eye out and you see a 10 period something, that may well be your DOI. For question 5, you need to find 3 psychology journals, specifically 1 in print, 1 online, and then 1 third one that is either of those. In order to do that, I'm going to go to the library's homepage. There is also a link off of the Psychology 101 course guide that I made, but from the library's main page. The way that I would do this to find the journals is that I have to remember a few things about journals. I need to remember that a journal has articles, so when I see find articles, I go, aha. And I need to remember that journals are periodicals. So you can see we have an option there for online periodicals and print periodicals. So that's how you will find those 2 varieties. Once you pick them, just look for where psychology is located. Keep your eyes open. You will find the psychology periodicals, and then you can list them. For question 6, you need to take a look at Psychology Today. Psychology Today is a journal that we do subscribe to here in the library, and if you're near to Batavia, you are welcome to come on in and take a look at it on the shelves of the library. But if you're not, or if you'd prefer not to come into the library to look at it, you can certainly look at it online, and we're going to do just that. So here is the webpage for Psychology Today. What we want specifically, though, is their magazine, and up at the top there is a link for the magazine and the current issue, which may or may not look familiar, the image that was just up. So I had taken a picture of the most recent issues that we have here, and there it is. So now I'm looking at the current issue of Psychology Today, and if I wanted to look at a specific article, something about intimacy, click on it, and now I have an article about intimacy from the magazine Psychology Today. But your question goes on to tell you that you need to compare what you find in this magazine to either one of the journals that you listed as your answer back for question number 5, or you've got to compare it to an article found in the database Psych Articles. I'm going to go take a look at that database to show you how you might answer the question. So I'm going to go to the psychology databases list, and as I said, at the top is the most psychology oriented, so that is Psych Info and Psych Articles. And if I wanted to compare, let's say, apples to apples, I'm going to look for an article on intimacy. And now I have over 13,000 articles that mention intimacy. And you can see that any ones where there is a whole article, I will have full text, and I can click on look at it there. Or you can come up here to where it says Psych Articles and just pull those full text articles out of that big list of 13,000 and take a look at just the 673 that are whole articles. If you have any problems whatsoever with finding the answers to these questions, please don't hesitate to ask a librarian. There are many ways to get in touch with us. Thanks, and good luck!